guys, it's Jill here from Lavender and Friends, your source of essential oil education and inspiration. Now, as you know, we've been doing our MythBusters series where we've been looking at some common misconceptions people might have about using essential oils. Now, a common one that I hear is essential oils are only for physical illnesses, not for emotions. Joining me today is the lovely Vicki Drennan of Essential Wellbeing with Vicki. She's actually going to share some of her experiences with the power of essential oils to be able to support emotional well-being. So thanks you for joining us on this live, and if you're watching the replay, thanks again. Now, Vicki, for you, what was it that got you interested in essential oils originally, and what made you decide to try and use them for the first time?
So I originally got into oils because I was looking for something natural for my anxiety. So for me, I was coming from a place of quite a medical background. So for me to be delving into the oils was something completely new.
Yeah.
But I was intrigued. I wanted to try new things. I've always been open to different suggestions. So for me, the oils were completely new, but there was just something about them that I was like, I need to try this and see if they actually work.
And what was it that made you decide to take the step from, okay, I've heard of essential oils, they sound a bit interesting, to actually deciding to purchase them, deciding to take that step and, you know, get involved?
Yep, sure. So for me, I started with the sample. So I started with a sample of wild orange essential oil. So for me, that was so foreign. Someone's telling me that instead of going down the medical pathway, here's some wild orange oil, put it in your hand and smell it. So to go from that and then actually discovering that, hang on, it actually does make me feel brighter, it does make me feel uplifted. The natural progression for me was to try some different ones, and then that's what made me get a kit, because I thought I need to learn more.
Yeah.
The only way to learn is to try.
And how do you think that the oils have benefited both you and also your family?
Yeah. So for me, with my anxiety, mummy was not in a very good place. I've got two young boys. They were 3 and 5 then, so you know they were quite young. So for me, I needed to be healthy again mentally to be able to function.
Yep.
But for me to benefit my family, not only with mummy being back on the planet again, but was also what natural things can I use for my family. I'd always been intrigued of, you know, what could I use for tummy pains or headaches or fever support or any of those kind of things. So to me, using the oils on my boys as guinea pigs 3 years ago was all new, but that's what made me realize, hang on, this isn't just about me here. This is for my family too.
Yeah. So like when, you know, the whole happy wife, happy life, happy mum, happy family, and so you were able to use the oils to, I guess, support you mentally, and then you could then use it for other uses like the physical, taking care of the boys. And
that's right, exactly.
Excellent.
And my thing too is also the oils that I use for myself for calming stress, overwhelm, anxiety. They're the same things I can use on my children. So for me, that was a big awakening moment of realizing that there's not many things we can do that with. We can share these beautiful natural tools together.
And I suppose as well, you're being able to be a positive role model for them in terms of their own healthcare, and that, you know, they can learn that if they're upset, they can turn to the oils, and that's something that I guess you can empower them too, which is a big benefit.
We've got them here downstairs.
They're all around us. It smells amazing. And what do you think was one of the, I guess this kind of leads to the next question, what were any surprising or unexpected outcomes of using the oils on the family?
Well, I suppose for me that my surprise was that they actually lived up to the expectations.
They do work.
That they worked, yeah. I mean, I share in all my classes, you know, especially if there's somebody in the room that says that they're skeptical. Do they really work? I get asked that a lot. And I say, I've been where you are. The introduction class that we do through doTERRA, our Intro 101, I went to that 3 times before I then got a kit. So, you know, I've been there, and, you know, my big thing was that they actually worked and are doing what I had hoped that they do. So
it's not just a placebo, it's an actual...
That's right, exactly. And then from there, you do go into looking into why they work and the research and all that kind of thing. So, you know, if you do want to do the research, it's there. You can find it. But for me, you need to try them and see how they make you feel.
And get the experience yourself.
Yes.
And I suppose, why do you think that emotional well-being is so important? So what really happens if people aren't emotionally balanced?
So for me, personally, if I wasn't emotionally imbalanced, my story that I do share a lot is creating physical pain in my body. So a lot of people that are suffering from depression, anxiety, even just stress, it can create tension in our pain, in our bodies for one, but then also tension can also then create pain. So for me, if we don't have everything up here figured out, it can really have that flow-on effect with everything that goes on in our body. I mean, I could talk about how being, depressed and overwhelmed affects our immune system and weakens our immune system as well.
Yeah.
But for me, it's really what's going on up here that's going to affect everything.
Yeah. A lot of people who watch this may know I actually had postnatal depression with my first child. And during that time, I did notice that my immunity was really compromised. Like, I was always getting sick, I was tired, I was stressed, and even the whole people who are often stressed will end up with heart attacks and things like that, because it's that physical manifestation of the emotional imbalance.
Yes, that's right.
So I guess when people use the oils to support a physical thing, there's a very almost a direct, like, you take a drop of peppermint, you feel a clear nose. You put a drop of tea tree on a mozzie bite, it's going to soothe it. How do the oils support the emotional well-being?
Yep. So for me with emotions, because it isn't perhaps as instant,
Yeah.
and it's not a physical thing, as you said. So for me, it's time. It does take time. But my big thing to teach people with using the oils for emotions is it's not just about the oils. Yes, they're a very, very powerful tool. And of course the core part of my business, and I'm guessing yours as well. But for me, it's teaching people about what intention are we setting when we use our oils. And for me as well, by getting out the balance and putting it in our hand to use for stress, we're also taking that moment to be consciously aware of what's going on. So I think for people that do struggle with emotional stuff, they're too busy just going from one thing to the next. So for me, our oils remind us to stop. That's my big thing. So even if you don't feel what you want to feel straight away, it's amazing how your shift in consciousness does start to change, because you're literally becoming aware. So for me, it would be a deep breath. It would be my oils and setting my intention of why I'm doing the oils. Yes, it's not physical, but it does start to come into play.
Yeah. I have a 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old, 3 on Friday, my baby, and we have a calming blend. So whenever she's kind of losing her patience and having a bit of a tantrum, we'll put the calming blend on her hands, and I'll say, all right, we're going to take 3 deep breaths, and she just breathes it in. And it's sort of taking that time to stop and develop that awareness, and also for her to develop the awareness of her emotions too. What are some common emotional issues that you have seen, and I guess what oils would you suggest to people? So, what's a really common complaint you hear emotionally? So stressed, tired.
Stressed, definitely stressed and overwhelmed and overworked. So for me, that would be balance straight away. Definitely the balance blend. Using that one throughout the day as often as you need. Don't be afraid to get it out and put more balance on. That's my big thing. Sometimes for those people, that then interplays with their sleep. So they can't get to sleep at night because they're overthinking. They're very tired because perhaps they're doing a lot during the day, but also getting up early as well.
Yep.
So for me, that's where our lavender piece is very, very important. For me, frankincense is the king. And frankincense I'm using to support lots of things with my body, but also for me, calming and sleep. So that's something that's very important as my nighttime routine. And then vetiver would probably be the other one that I would be saying definitely. But all those ones I've talked about so far are calming. But of course, if we're looking at the other side for uplifting, our wild orange, our elevation, our citrus bliss, these ones are very important.
So the citrus ones are good for sort of elevating and making you joyful. The more woody ones are good for kind of keeping everything nice and calm.
Yep.
Yeah, fabulous.
Absolutely.
And one thing, a common criticism of essential oil is often that they're too expensive. So for example, one of my, and I believe yours, favorites is rose. They've just released the Rose Touch. I'm lathering myself in it daily, but it is quite an expensive oil. And so what do you say to people who have that as a particular objection?
Well, I'm a big believer in choice. I use that word a lot because we have a choice. We have a choice about what we do every day. We have a choice what we spend our money on.
Yep.
So for me, I'm really big on choosing myself first and my health. Yes, I love shopping. Yes, I love Kmart and all those sorts of things. But for me, keeping myself healthy and well is what's most important. So for me, I like to have that discussion around, where would you choose to spend your money? And I guess for me, that also leads into being proactive with our health rather than reactive. So that usually opens up that conversation with people to be learning a little bit more about, yes, we do have a choice, but for me, if I want to take care of myself now rather than when I am sick, it gets people thinking a little bit differently as well.
Oh, definitely. I think I often talk about the oils are an investment, and it's about taking that time to look after yourself. And personally, I would rather just not get sick in the first place.
Yep.
And I think if I can, be happy, be calm, be contented, that's going to increase the chances of me being able to avoid, like you said, boost your immune system, which is great.
Yes.
Now, if someone has been really amazed by this and would like to learn a bit more about the emotions and the oils, what are some, I guess, additional resources you might suggest them?
Well, I can't reach my book because it's over there.
There we go.
I was going to mention that.
There we go.
So this is like my Bible for emotions. This is emotions and essential oils, which is amazing. So my big thing for people, and sometimes they don't realize the power of the oils. So we talk about, an oil for a physical thing, but we can also use it for emotions. It can take a little bit of time for people to realize the connection. But for me, this is my resource that I do share a lot. So this is something that I would definitely recommend people look into. Otherwise, coming along to any of the doTERRA events that they see around that are emotions based, the more we talk to people, the more we learn. That's very, very important. Otherwise, you could be looking up things online like aromatic science if you wanted to as well. Otherwise, you've got other doTERRA blogs and things that you could be looking through as well.
One thing I'll mention as well is for those that are coming to convention in Sydney, which is going to be March 2018, there is actually going to be an emotions masterclass. It's being put on by Food Alchemy, which is Vanessa G. Bosker.
Yeah, I just say Vanessa Jean.
Vanessa Jean, she's doing it. It's Food Alchemy, and you can definitely get tickets there. I think it's $10 for the
$10, and
class.
it's based on this.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fabulous one. So that's another great thing if you are in Sydney and wanted to learn a bit more. And finally, before we finish up, what would you say is your favorite blend to support your emotional well-being?
Blend.
Or blend, like a personal blend you maybe put together. So
Yeah.
maybe something a combination you like.
Yep. I'd probably just say Lavender Peace.
Yeah.
Yep. Lavender Peace is my go-to every single night. Diffusing it on my wrists, on my pillow. When I'm traveling, I would not travel without it. For me, it's my calming, safe spot oil.
It's definitely a favorite in our house. Well, look, I hope you guys have found this useful. As you can see, essential oils can be beneficial for both the physical side of things and also really powerful for emotional support as well. If you'd like to learn more about getting these oils, you can certainly be in touch with me, or you can visit my website, Lavender and Friends, which is www.lavenderandfriends.com, or go back to the person who first introduced you to doTERRA. That's all, and I'll see you again soon.